Education, Laurie Kilmartin.
Oh my God. I am so tired.
You're very tie-tie. I'm pretty tie-tie. When you fly from Madison, Wisconsin to Burbank, California, do you take more than 2 planes?
Two. It was both times we connected in Dallas.
Okay. That's not bad. Then that's in the right direction.
It's in the right direction, but I have no leverage on American. So I'm like in row 28 in the window seat with my knees in my ears. And
Oh yeah.
I can barely
Not
walk.
even an exit row?
No. I mean, they're like $50 now,
Oh
it's
shit.
ridiculous.
Right.
I know you are in first class with Delta at least half the time, so you don't know what it's really like.
I was in first class this entire trip because
Oh my God.
Yeah, because I was bringing Andy and I could use a companion pass.
Oh.
So I spent all of the money that I would have spent on our tickets on one ticket.
Aw.
And then we stayed at the Pfister, which is a super fancy hotel, really very beautiful. And I did the laughing tap. You posted that awesome picture. You're like, not to green room shame, but the green room at the Comedy on State.
Yeah, well, so we were both in Wisconsin this weekend, which is so crazy.
Mhm.
And I was at Comedy on State in Madison, and it's incredible. It's a beautiful, they just remodeled it apparently. It all looks brand spanking new.
Right.
And, so the room's great, showroom's great. There's a green room upstairs that you take an elevator to. And usually you're like going through the kitchen and through stepping on mops, right? And it's like a full loft. It's just there's like a pool table and there's there's consoles. I don't really do that stuff, but the younger comics were enjoying themselves.
Wait, there's a big TV that you can do that you could watch a show, right?
There's a massage chair. Yeah, there's a lot happening. It's really it's very relaxing to head back up there, but you can also monitor the show on the gigantic television.
Yeah, you gotta and that was your first time there, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Really fun shows, very fun crowds. There was one night where I guess a guy, I didn't know this, but he had been really obnoxious earlier in the show, like I guess maybe in the back of the room, and they multiple times had told him to leave, tried to tell him to, they tried to get him out without actually physically throwing somebody out.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes sauntering up to me, great set, and of course, to me, I'm like, hey, this guy's great taste in comics. This guy knows what he's talking about. And but I didn't know he was a problem. And Eve, who's one of the owners, jumps, like does a Secret Service dive in front of me to protect me from this guy. And she and Amos and I think some other people there were just like moved him away, and everyone was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like I was like, was that
the guy? That guy was trouble, huh?
But as soon as I saw the level of seriousness, I was like, oh, okay, this is a problem I don't know about, so I'll just hang out here.
Oh yeah,
that's fine. That was pretty cool. And Skylar Higley, who was a Conan writer, he's so funny. He got hired after COVID started. So it was always the intention that, when everything was done in a couple weeks, he would move to LA and be part of the team, just like everybody. And of course, he never got that chance. He was always on Zoom and he missed out on, all the in-person stuff, and
he lives in Wisconsin,
all the jokes we have about various people.
Right.
But he's really funny comic. So he featured, and so it was kind of like a 1-2 Conan punch at the Comedy State. Yeah, it was cool.
That is awesome. I did the laughing tap in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in some, it's called Walker's Point, I think, or I thought it was the Third Ward, Milwaukee's changed a lot. I barely knew it to begin with. I'm from a little town outside of Milwaukee. So my parents would get a nosebleed if they had to drive into the city. And so there was no there's no cool, chance to really get to know. So
what are you doing? You're
I'm
clearly
looking up
and trying to pretend like you are interested in your conversation about Milwaukee. You're clearly
doing something while I'm trying to pretend I'm actually on air.
Yeah, I can
Hi,
see
why
you.
don't I? Yes, I know. There's a camera pointed right at me. I'm so fucking. I was trying to make sure I knew the right name of this person that I was going to tell you about after this story. It's great.
Okay.
We got an hour to fill.
You don't have to rush yourself. Just relax a little.
It was nice. So we fly in Thursday night. I don't have a show till Friday. But we get there late. We drive through Milwaukee, downtown Milwaukee, dead, DED. Holy smokes, there's one car. And but it's all tricked out. Like all the lights are on everything. And there's these beautiful it was so Christmassy and so awesome.
Yeah.
And so we go to the Pfister, we crash. And then the next day, we go to this place. I mean, this is more holiday stuff than stand-up stuff for a second.
Right.
But on Friday, I wanted us to have the big family dinner at this sort of Goonie supper club. Which is a fancy way of saying there's a bar and then there's a restaurant.
Right.
And which is the Wisconsin, hey, there's a restaurant in this bar. And but I had never been to it. 2 years ago, I was there around Christmas, and we went, and the place, it's like the state fair threw up, and then Santa threw up. It's like the way it's decorated. It's got those mirrors that you can win at the fair that have Budweiser and Miller and AC/DC on them, or Jesus playing basketball, whatever. They're all over the walls and ceiling, and there's all this tchotchke crap, right? That is. It's a layer of nonsense. And then over it is now Santa stuff, just a million pounds of tinsel. And so it was the most tinsel that I've ever seen. It was outstanding. And I wanted to have lunch there with the whole family, but it really wasn't big enough for 14 people. So so I was like, Sue, who my sister-in-law and my nephews, I wanted to show it to Andy for sure. So I said, hey, do you guys, and Sue and the boys were the ones that had gone the first time. I said, do you guys want to meet me for lunch? And so Sue's like, yeah, we'll totally meet. And then my dad's like, well, I'll go to lunch. I'll always go to lunch. And then my brother Phil's like, we'll leave early. We'll come to Irv's Mug. And that's what it's called. It's called Irv's Mug. And it's in Oak Creek. And it's dumb and awesome. And the food is actually pretty good. And it was a nickel because it's Milwaukee and everything is free.
That's it.
Including the injustice. So we did that. And then I had 2 shows on Friday night. Second show, I got a weird headache. Did not sleep well all Saturday. Total headache. I was like, I've got the breakthrough. It's everywhere in New York. I've got the breakthrough.
I
do not have the breakthrough.
Thank God.
I had a terrible headache. Like I rarely get headaches. This is peasant stock. It just doesn't, when it dies, it's just going to fall over. Like, I will be plowing a field.
The audiences at the Comedy on State were putting their masks back on after they had finished a sip. You know what I mean? Like they were kind of on and off. Were they doing that there as well?
Almost no masks. At Laughing Tap. They were, on the other hand, making sure everybody was vaccinated.
Okay.
Or had a negative test, and they were checking it. And Greg told me, the guy who owns it, he was like, so I had a guy last night. He's like, show me where it says I have to be vaccinated.
Oh, God.
And Greg says, give me your phone. He's like, here it is on the ticket. And then he backs up to the website. Here it is on the website. And then he turns around and says, here it is on the door that you just walked through. And he's like, you're not getting your money back. Go away. And I was like, I felt like he was channeling Jared. It was nice. And so it was, the crowds were a little light. It's in a weird little area. The one good thing I would say I did crowd-wise for that, the MC was like, how many people have been here before? How many people haven't been here before? And 3/4 of the people. So I brought a lot of new people.
Hey, cool.
Yeah. And Winter Spears featured for me.
Oh, fun.
Nice.
And that was super fun. And a young man named Kenyon, a Chicago comic, came up and emceed. And it was super fun. I sold a bunch of merch. Andy got dragged around by my family. My family's like, Sue said, did Phil take Andy out to dinner? He can't hog Andy. And I was like, I know. Everyone likes Andy better than me. I know. That's what you want in a marriage. Is that's what you want to bring. Too fun. But then last night we all went to the earliest dinner in the world. At what is called the Wisconsin Club. And it's essentially General Billy Mitchell's old house. It's like this weird, beautiful mansion-y thing that's on Wisconsin Avenue that is now a club. And because it's Wisconsin, it's beautifully decorated and it's a beautiful building, but there's 9 giant screen TVs, like it's a sports bar.
Right.
There might be some news about the Packers. Somebody has to give a shit. And so where are you going?
Oh, I was just going to make notes on things that I wanted to bring up that you reminded me of.
Which is what I just got my chops busted for.
No, you were
momentarily.
specifically reading. I'm listening.
I wrote a thing.
And you were reading.
You were telling a story while not paying attention to your own story.
Yes, thank you.
You, while not listening, insisted on also talking and being the main focus.
Okay, I feel ganged up on. I feel there's been some attacking here. Anyway, so, but I'm doing Comedy on State at the end of next month, and what I was writing down is the name of the woman, Rachel Mazuzak. Is that right?
Oh, Rachel Mack.
Rachel Mack, but her full, Oh, she just go by Rachel Mack?
Yeah.
That's why
Rachel Mack
I know
from
Rachel
Charmy
Mack.
House.
Son of a bitch.
Rachel Mack.
I know, but she emailed me from her full name, and I was like,
I got that email too, and I was like, who? And then I watched as soon as she walked out on her Spade set, I'm like, oh, Rachel Mack. Okay.
David Spade said, right.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch it. I literally just went to the text and said, hey, guess what? My dog is covered in some sort of, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit pause. We're back.
Okay.
You missed my joke. He was covered in thorns, and I said, save it for Easter, buddy. Anyway, so it's a Jesus joke.
I got it. I was raised Catholic. I know what you meant. I got it.
Oh my God, nobody has more thorns on that guy than the Catholics. You guys will thorn up a guy. So she's gonna feature for me at the end of January at Comedy on State.
Lots of people are excited to see you. They told me, and then
that's cool.
Oh, I think Bree, who works there, said her Aunt Terry was gonna come to my show, but she couldn't, so she's gonna come to yours. Good choice. I'm telling you, good choice.
Good. Well, I mean, at least you're coming to some of us. But it is funny that they're like, well, if I miss the one, I'll sort of get the other.
I don't need to see both of them, do I?
Please come and see both of us. You will like it. And but I will say that I had some friends or some people that could be my friends. You ever run into people from high school and you're like, oh, you grew up okay. Look how you are.
Yeah.
Look, you're now an adult human being that I could probably talk to.
Right.
Because I'm an adult human being that can talk. So there's that.
On Friday, I went to I got in at 4:30. Here's the thing, when I bought the ticket, it told me 2:30, and I was like, oh, this is sweet, but it gave me Pacific Coast time and not Central time. So I got it pretty close to showtime, closer than I
4:30 is a little bit late because there's no chill.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, on Friday I went to, there's like a Wisconsin War Museum or Veterans Museum. I'm sorry, like right around the corner from the hotel.
Okay.
And, bathtubs in the hotel. so I just wandered in, because my dad would love that kind of stuff. And then I realized, oh my God, my great grandfather fought in the Civil War. We have a picture of him, and I have like several like cousins, 5 times removed, that are obsessed with figuring out what division he's from. They're all male, by the way. So I just pulled up the picture from Ancestry and I showed it to the guy, and he's like, he was also like a Civil War expert. The Civil War experts are, they know everything. He's like, you can tell by the buttons. This is the Zouave unit. I'm like, okay, great.
Wait, you're the Webeck guy was in the Zouave unit?
Yeah.
From New York or from,
Wisconsin?
It had to be New York. The Wisconsin one?
Yeah. Do you know what they are?
Okay.
I'd never even knew
a little bit. In junior high, it turns out, was one of your cousins. And I was completely obsessed with the Civil War. Right. And one of my first fictional crushes was on a guy who'd been dead for at least 120 years. That was in a photo. And so I wasn't good with live men or real men at all. So good for me. But
I had a crush on Bobby Sands, but he was dying. So he was alive at the time. But go ahead. Sorry.
You know what you did? You anticipated those YA cancer romance novels.
Ooh.
My niece reads those. I was like, how can you? She's like, well, because their love is doomed. And I was like, yeah, it is.
Like all love, in my opinion. But how do you know about Zouaves? You just studied that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I was constantly reading about the different, because there was a Union POW camp, and there was a lot of talk about the Zouaves, and then there was some other talk about them being in a unit with other like New York units, and they were like, why do they have such shiny outfits? And they're like, they're not outfits, they're uniforms, and we have a French ancestry that means something to us. And you're like, stop talking.
Yeah, I guess it's because that's how Napoleon structured his army. And so at the time they were copying Napoleon. So Zouave is a French word.
Even though 1861 is after Waterloo.
No,
because
they copied the structure he left in place. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, I know what you mean, but it's always, you always want to say, you'd be like, are you copying Hitler? He lost. And,
right.
Yeah.
It's,
yeah.
Okay,
but,
good point. So anyway, I'm supposed to send this guy pictures because he's like, on my home computer, I have everything. So, but that's sort of interesting, I guess.
Yeah. That's super fun.
And then that I got
shows went well, merch go well.
Just went well, sold out of books. I just brought Dead People Sucks. I probably could have cleaned up if I had sold Shitty Moms too, but I ran out,
Yeah.
And part of me is like, I'm tired of that book.
Right. Well, and I brought a lot of merch, and the Milwaukee room isn't very big. It only seats probably 120.
Yeah.
And so it's super great. And they put a bunch of curtains up because it has this vaulted seat. It's in this this neighborhood's awesome. It's being gentrified slowly around it. So but it has kind of a Brooklyn feel, but not anything in the last 20 years of Brooklyn. More like 1930 Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You expect Steve Rogers to show up. So
I don't know you, but yes.
Captain America.
Oh, right.
Okay. So, all right. So, So, but I don't think I've canceled the rest of New York. I think.
I don't know what to do about New York.
Yeah. Did you see that tweet? Who was it? The Levine Machine? I don't know his real name. But he tweeted. He said, "Hey, if you were a New York comic and you didn't get COVID in the last week, you aren't doing enough sets."
Oh yeah.
I paraphrase, but that was the joke, and it was such a great joke.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm supposed to fly back on Christmas night, and then I'm gonna do Burlington for New Year's Eve. So it was just I'm on my way to Burlington.
Oh,
but
right.
do I go there 5 days early? or do I just hang out here where it might be safer for a little bit and then just go, like maybe fly out the day before Burlington and then head up there. I don't know what to do. I am gonna call JetBlue and see what my options are, and then watch if everything's decimated. I mean, and they could close down New York City till
there might not be any sets to be had.
Right. I'm a little worried about doing sets in New York right now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll keep my ticket and fly out and just chill and hide.
Yeah, you could do that.
And do some Zoom shows or something.
We could do a Sunday services.
Why not?
In January, I could do all kinds of. I could bring that back.
Yeah. I mean, might as well. Anyway, it's an ongoing situation I'm monitoring, mostly via Twitter of New York comics.
Right.
and they're
as reliable as anything right now as far as COVID info. I will say that what I was going to do is I was going to go on the 10th and stay to the 20th and then just go to Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle.
Oh, right.
In
Detroit.
Royal Oak, outside of Detroit. So, because I'm doing the Comedy Castle the weekend before I do Comedy on State.
Yeah, right.
So back to back. So I was just going to sort of stay out, which was going to be sad because, but I think. So now I think I might go if we're still going to do, and we're going to play it by ear, right? You want to play the Bell House by ear a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, if Bell House is not closing down, then I don't know why we should.
Right. We're all boosted and everything's good, but and we're not nuts. And our fans are good, are smart.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's up to the venue how things are going.
Yeah. So
I mean, they are checking vaccine cards in New York establishments and stuff like that, but we'll have to see how much Omicron just blows through people's vaccines and boosters if it does,
right,
really, really badly. Oh,
yeah.
God. It's so crazy not to know, like a week in advance, is it safe to go to a city? It's so not,
Well, I mean, but I mean, I mostly I have Bell House and then I have Royal Oak and then I have Madison. But February, I have Portland Helium, Denver Comedy Works, and then Vancouver with Maria. So
cool.
Yeah.
You're out. Hopefully all these gigs stick.
And in Denver, I'm famous in Denver. This is an interesting. It's something that surprises and shocks me every time. I am at a coffee shop. I say something, and they're like, "Are you a comic? Is your name Jackie?"
Really?
Yeah, like they freaking recognize my voice.
That's great.
And comparably, they say things like, "I didn't think you'd look like that." So I was like, "Fair enough." And but so they're having me back, and but next week or starting tomorrow when this airs, I am doing On the Hour, introducing other people's Christmas bits on a local Denver radio station.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I recorded, like I had to pick 24. That's why I asked people if anybody had any
in the chat if they had Christmas.
Yeah, if they had Christmas jokes. So I just recorded like an hour of introductions, and they're gonna do it for a bunch of So that's cool.
Yeah. I have 4 chunks in my current set that are from the album.
Mm-hmm.
The
rest of it's new.
The rest of it isn't on the album. Yeah.
Is it on any album?
No.
Nice. How much are those 4 chunks? Does that mean that you have like 12 to 15 minutes that's from the album, and then the other half hour?
Yeah.
To 40 minutes is
that's
outstanding.
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah. Like I realized like it's still not structured right, and the other thing was like, so, do I sometimes you do a topic and then you're like, all right, I'm done with that topic. But I'm a mom. Am I done being a mom? No, but I am done being the mom of a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old in my act. Right now, I'm the mom of a teenager, and I don't have a ton of jokes about that yet. But that's something I need to populate. Like, that's a little area in my act I need to populate, because it makes me relatable to the audience and buys me credit because I'm about to do jokes that make me unrelatable. So it's that dance. I remember when you liked me when I had a teenage son. All right, now here's some 9/11 jokes. So please bear with me.
Winter has this joke that comes from this weird thing that happened at her job, leads into something that's super not personal at all, right?
Yeah.
It's literally, it's one of those, they could be used for good or ill, and she uses it for good. When there's the list thing, where you'll do many samples, and they'll be kind of that. And then she didn't have a button on it, and I got to witness her write a button. I got to write a closure. She just brought it back to something personal, right?
Oh, cool.
Because that's your best bet when you're writing something, because
Totally.
you weed off into something socio-political or like into the weird zeitgeist of the world.
Yeah.
Bring it back to what was it like in 8th grade? What happened when you were 12? And
there's this, so I was working on a bit that was a little like focused on critical race theory, and it didn't fit in with anything else I'm doing, but I'm listening to the 1619 Project. I'm like, I gotta talk. But then it's just been on my brain, like, how am I gonna do this, without sounding like I'm trying to give a TED talk or do a Daily Show correspondent,
right. There has to be punchlines. That's all.
And it has to be something people want to hear from me in a nightclub. Like,
okay,
we're in nightclubs. We're not in theaters, and it's not like I'm doing an hour-long show on a topic. This has got to come between this chunk of dick jokes and that chunk of dick jokes. And so it has to be seamless, even though it's, whether it's about my mother's death or whatever, it's a kind of a serious thing. So I don't know. Then I kind of wrote something else that kind of comes around the corner and gets it a little bit.
There you go.
Without, God dang it, Charmy's insane. Without whatever, we'll see. I don't want to even go all solved now, because it isn't. But I was like, all right, more like me. And what I was trying to do was a little too on the nose.
Right. And if you come in from a place of just some sort of personality, issue or something that you personally experienced, that's gonna, and then you can talk about anything you want, because you live in the world. Yeah. And you're like, this is how and Grant, Charmy loves you so much.
Stop it. All right. Is this distracting?
The sun. Here comes the sun is very distracting. But it's I have my first joke about my mother-in-law. Well, actually, that's not true. I don't think the other one was a joke about my other mother-in-law.
Yeah.
So when I first met Andy's moms, and Andy has 2 mommies.
Yeah.
And Fran said the funniest thing in the world, but it wasn't. It was just, I asked her what she did for a living, and she said that she worked a forklift at a cheese factory. Yeah. And I laughed and laughed. And I said, could you please say that again? And she said, why is that funny? And I said, it's a little on the nose. It's a little bit of a caricature, Fran. And but so I have a new joke about my mother-in-law, Andy's mom.
Yeah.
And I also have this that weird bit that I'm trying to do about suicide. And I see like Maria's done a couple of bits about suicide, and I see why in the middle of it you feel like doing a tiny PSA, because people tighten up. They get all, they're just like, oh shit. And and you, I don't want to, Maria used to do that joke about how suicide, you should stay alive just for spite.
Yeah.
So those are my so I have about, I don't know, 7 or 10 minutes worth of, well, the gun thing is probably 6 minutes long, but it should be 3.5. So, I mean, yes.
It's like you and I were stand-ups. We're not like coming up with a themed show that we're going to do at the end of the year at the festival circuit, like which I think is really cool that the UK comics do, but so we're just adding to our nightclub act. So it's so I don't know, it's weird. Like I'm like, is this the same structure as the album I just did, but just different? I'm swapping out different jokes with, here's when I talk about being a mom, here's when I talk about men, here's when I talk about this, that thing. And it might be, but maybe, maybe that's the best I can do in terms of being hype. I'm trying to fuck.
The wrestling match with your item.
But it's putting together like the outline of what would be a headlining set for like the next year. It feels like it might just be following the similar, but you know what, if I'm comfortable on that outline and I'm just plugging in different jokes that are still interesting to me,
they're different jokes.
Guess what? It's my style. That's my style.
This is my 5th album. If you listen to all of my albums, there's going to be a chunk about family. There's going to be a chunk about sex. There's going to be a chunk about everything, right? It's going to be the same 5 or 6 topics. And then
they don't get mad at bands for sounding the same from record to record.
That's
Why
true.
Are we special?
Yeah.
Right.
Why? Because we're obsessed and we're supposed to be some sort of fucking unicorn and a different color unicorn every time. But if you think about it, unicorns, they all have that one horn. They look the same. They look the same every time you see a non-existent unicorn.
True. Same rainbow colors. Plus, I mean, you are always still interested in the same things. You're always trying to piece together the same things, It's just at different stages of your life, you're going to look at it from a different angle,
Yeah. Well, and now this is, I don't even know. I don't think this is my, okay. So you know how everybody's moving, right? That you've told me for months that everybody's moving out of LA. They're going to Austin. They're going to Nashville. They're going to whatever, right?
I don't think I'm the only one saying that. I might have brought it up once or twice. It's not my yeah.
Well,
okay.
I just found out that someone I care about, the rest of these people, fuck off, leave. I don't want to have coffee with you. But I want to have coffee with this person, and they are moving. And
oh yeah, they had mentioned that to me as a possibility.
Right. And so supposedly in February. And I was like, well, that's fine. Go and, wherever that person goes, they're hilarious. There's going to be work. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But I just spent, I was talking to Andy today because I know people who are conspiracy theorists, right? And I was like, why don't you know anybody? Why aren't any of your friends off the deep end? And people that you have worked with for 30 years that you that guy used to be a comic. Now he's a fucking nutbag. And you're just like, he wasn't a great comic, but he was an okay comic, right?
Yeah.
He did his job. He worked the road. This is a different person that I'm talking about now, right?
Oh, I know, but it's like at least 3 different guys I've just pictured right now that you talked about. Yeah.
Right. And it's I got good news from one of my nephews when we went out to dinner the other night. They're not listening to this nutbag on the podcast circuit anymore because he said he kind of went off the deep end. And I was like, several years ago. And he said, yeah, but I'm still listening to these guys. And I was like, well, those guys have their heads up their asses. Well, but less so. Yeah, exactly. They're much less.
I actually haven't listened to those guys, but I guess I should just so I'm up to date.
No, I'm not giving you homework. Please, just take my word for it. They're better than but the weird. I mean, everybody's always like, well, there's all these, and so Andy said the greatest thing. He said, none of my friends are conspiracy theorists because 2 reasons. Most of them are scientists and nerds, and the other half have read so much science fiction that they're not surprised that there has been an abuse of power using chips. like using like like all the 5G and the telephone poles and whatever those things are. That's all been in sci-fi speculative fiction for 100 years already. I mean, and it's not like, you're just like, well, it's just this, they're trying to control you. And I was like, I don't know when you thought feudalism went away, but it never did. When it's just been a lateral move, and all the sci-fi I read is just technological feudalism. I'm like, how everybody says they're going to put chips in us and then they're going to be able to track us. And I said, yeah, but you have your phone. And my friend goes, yeah, but you don't have to have a phone. And I said, have you tried putting it down?
Yeah. It's hard.
Because we don't.
Yeah.
It's with us at all times.
Yeah. And,
so,
and I saw that article. It's like a Swedish app where you can inject a chip in yourself with your vaccine status, which I could see a bunch of Swedes doing it because they're fucking. It would never be mandatory. And I don't see a lot of people doing that.
Right, and they're having a hard time getting chips to put in new cars, which is something that Carmen Morales pointed out to me. It made me laugh really hard.
They're all on a ship outside in Long Beach, right next to the Laugh Factory.
Elon Musk is sending irreplaceable, very rare minerals into goddamn space that we're never going to see again, right? So,
well, I can't. I don't want to mention him or Joe Manchin, ever.
Oh, I keep calling him Munchkin. Anyway, so because I can't remember how his name is pronounced, but I'm okay with that.
Just tracking COVID via comedians' tweets. That's basically how I'm dealing with this pandemic. And it seems like some LA comics are it's coming out here. People have it. People that have been vaxxed have it. And it's pretty nerve-wracking. I don't know who in New York has it. I just know people keep saying everybody has it. You guys are on a secret chat. No one's listening to me.
No, you were making valid points, so I didn't want to interrupt. It was respectful silence.
All right.
Am I throwing it to the break? Let's throw it to the break. Let's just sit here in silence. I will say that the people that I know that let's throw it to the break.
Okay.
And then let's do comic of the week.
Oh, our comic of the week is
Kirsty?
Australian gal, Kirsty Webeck.
Kirsty, that's right, Kirsty Webeck.
Kirsty, Kirsty Webeck. She's super funny. We started following each other on Twitter maybe like 6 months or a year ago, and she just makes me laugh a lot. And she had a gala.
I watched her gala. Somebody told her she looked like Seth Rogen, and it's such a comic response where she's like, "I see what you see," and you're like, I don't care if you see what that guy said to you. He shouldn't have said it. No one should say it. No one should say it to fucking Seth Rogen. He's a goody looking dude, and he's freaking hilarious. But
Well, why are we talking about?
But she was super funny. She's super funny. I love that set.
Yeah, she's really funny, and I think her Facebook and Instagram were hacked, and Meta won't give it back to her, so she had to restart both accounts. So follow her on Instagram. But she's really funny, and we gotta cast a wide net and get international sometimes, Jackie.
Right. Yeah, let's mix it up. Maybe we'll get some listeners in Australia, and then we can go to Australia and do a live show. And what about but I think she's just Kirsty Webeck on Twitter, isn't she?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's KR. It'll be in the notes. KRSTY WEBECK.
Yep.
Yay! And now we're back. People with COVID for the win.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to get it.
I don't either. There's this writer named Karen Attiah, Attiah. She's she's a journalist, but she writes op-eds for the Washington Post, I think. And I followed her before, and she was posting, she was like training for Muay Thai, which is a kind of MMA, and she had just fought like a championship fight. Like, she's fucking ripped. And the next week she tested positive for COVID. And she's like, every once in a while she gives updates on it. And she's like, even a month out, she said, she gets winded just doing tiny things. And she, was in great shape a month ago because of this fight. And now she can barely do anything, even though she's no longer contagious. So she's having, a bit of long COVID. That hopefully
it's just taking a very long, it's taking a long time. I think they all take a long time to get over whether, and if it manifests itself. I mean, obviously there's people who don't get over it at all. And those are the unvaccinated. And so, but yeah, I have 3 friends who had it last month. Breakthrough. Yeah, not comics though. Musicians. Wow. I'm seeing other art forms. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
and I'm casting a wide net.
Sure.
And but a friend of mine went to London and she got it in London. And then we have a couple of other musical acting friends in London, and she didn't give it to them, but the 3 more people over there got it. 2 that I knew pretty well. Yeah. And then somebody on the chat has it. And
she does, huh?
Yeah. And so she has to rent a car and drive from off the road back to drive home. And she said it's not horrible because she's boosted and everything, but it's not great, and she's not psyched, and she's stressed and scared about it. And it's just everything. I was in a good place about 5 or 6 weeks ago.
Yes.
Where I was pretty not fatalistic, but I was at least I was willing to like just live each day and know that I don't have a lot of power over this, right?
Right.
And for some reason in the last 4 or 5 days, I've been, thinking, well, now what's going to happen, and future tripping and thinking, all this stuff. And you're just like, nothing, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You certainly can't do anything about it. All you can do is try to, do your part and try to help somebody in front of you, do the thing, just try to not be a fucking monster and, just live a decent life. But it's been really hard to find it back to that sort of piece of that sort of, not fatalism, but fatalism, I guess, or just acceptance.
Yeah, I mean, we both had our albums come out, and there was it just felt like, now there's some momentum because they did pretty well. Bookings were coming in. It's like, oh, okay, this might be doable for a little while at least. And now, whatever.
Yeah, well, everyone should definitely listen. I'll be on the hour on 103.7, I think, in Denver. It's not on the hour. It's on it's like somewhere between the 12 and 28 minutes of every hour.
Okay.
They will be doing a joke. It's called Comedy Now.
All right.
Have you heard of Comedy Now?
I haven't, no.
Well, now you have. Ha.
Well, whenever you bring up the city of Denver, of course, I get bitter inside. So I can't even hear what you're saying.
I can't wait till you do the Comedy Works. And because I talk you up every time I go, but you thought that green room was amazing. You got to see what is the only condo left in the industry. Yeah. It's, you'll lose your mind.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. So I had a 5:30 flight this morning, or I would be picked up at 5:30. Got no sleep, slept like 2 hours, of course. And then was just like in the shrimp formation on American Airlines for many hours today. And so I'm wiped out. But I don't have any spots exactly lined up, but I'm going to, try to get a few this week, just so I don't completely forget how to do comedy, which is always my fear that, if I'm off stage for 2 days,
right, you don't do stand-up anymore.
Yeah.
And what do you guys, are you going to be in town for Christmas Day? You haven't figured out yet.
Yeah.
If you're going to stick it out.
my son and I were going to leave on Christmas night and go to New York.
That's
and
right.
Do stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah, we're driving up to Andy's mom's on Wednesday,
Mhm.
and then we're going to San Francisco for the weekend to
Nice.
see his cousins.
Yeah.
With his mom, and we're going to stay at another fancy hotel.
Yeah.
That is where Christmas is going to be all over the place, and it's going to be super fun. Merry Christmas. And so I don't know what kind of sets I've got, but I know like I had to get up at 4:30 this morning because my flight as well, because I had to return the rental car.
Right.
And fill the tank, return the rental car, and then check in. And then we flew to Salt Lake City, and then Salt Lake City we changed again and flew to Burbank. And we landed at about 1. Did you land? Well, we landed at 12:30. What I think you landed at 1.
I got in at 12:04.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
They did lose my bag, but they American, you could track it. Like they found it. They've just put on a later flight from down. They didn't lose it. They just didn't get it on a flight. Right. So they're gonna drop it by. But I do like American's app. It's very helpful about where everything is, and
Delta has that as well. Here's what I did. I got off the plane. She had made a big announcement. She's like, make sure you check around you, like she always does. The flight attendant, whoever they are, they always say, check around you, make sure you get all your stuff. So I grab all my stuff. I put it all in the bag. The flight attendant says, remember, you can't get back on the plane if you get off the plane. Don't forget anything. I walk out. I walk down the ramp because it's Burbank, and then you're outside, then you're inside. Yeah. Once I go inside, I'm like, why can't I see anything? I left my glasses.
Oh no!
In my seat back, and so
Jackie, you're not blind enough. I wouldn't be able to even find my seatbelt without my glasses.
I was like, I can read without my glasses, but I cannot see any distance without my glasses. So it was really weird that I, for some reason, did not have my glasses. So then it took, so it took like 15 minutes to get. It's a great story.
Well, we were walking around Burbank. That's so weird. Right at this, weekend, but we didn't run into each other.
Where did you? What terminal were you in?
I was Terminal 1, Jackie. I guess American and JetBlue share a miles program or something. So.
Oh, that's great for you. That'll be good. That might be the answer.
You guys love Delta, you and Maria, but you know what? We maybe I'll just be an American girl. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows? Let's take a second break.
All right.
You know that I'm always the one to say, let's take a break. I feel like the parent that has to be the bad guy. You're familiar with this.
Jack, for 1 hour a day, I take off parenting, or 1 hour a week. And, I think you would be a better mother than I am. So go for it.
Oh no. It's I did childcare for so long. There was a kid, I walked past a kid at the airport going to Milwaukee, and the rollerboard things, the shaft that comes up that you put, and it's a handle, and you pull it right on your luggage. The thing that you pull up to pull.
Yes.
So a boy about 6 or 7 years old has got the handle thing. So those two bars, he's sitting on the luggage and pressing those two handles on his little sister's head. And she's about 3, 2.5, 3. And she's like, stop it. And he's like, just hang on. And I almost just turned around and was like, knock it off. But their mom didn't have a mask on. So I was like, oh no, those kids screw.
Sure.
I made an executive decision. I was like, nah, it'll be fine. The kids, of course, both had their masks on and didn't care.
Are you? Oh no, they don't. My son's fine with it. Are you working on New Year's Eve? You're not, right?
I'm not. I got offered a New Year's Eve. Yeah, and I never said no without a number.
Money.
It was that.
Okay.
And talk about wanting $12,000 plus a town car. is
Yeah.
what I asked for was
Sure.
was that for the night,
Yeah.
which isn't unreasonable, quite honestly.
No. Right.
And they did not respond.
Really?
Mhm.
They didn't even counter?
Mm-mm.
Were they just going to give you a set for $50 or something?
That feels bitterly like they might be interested. That is exactly what they were gonna do.
Wow.
They're like, she likes $100. Who doesn't like $100? And I'm like, first of all, to get in a car on
Right.
New Year's Eve when is crawling with, the accidental alcoholic.
You would have should have gotten a hotel so you wouldn't have to drive home that night, of course, right?
Right. That's what I want to do is spend New Year's Eve in Orange County. And
Well, yeah. Are you going to do the vision board with Ron Funches again?
yeah.
Is that on New
Are you
Year's?
gonna do? It's New Year's
Well-
Day, but it's daytime.
Oh.
Are you gonna be? Wait, is it New Year's? No, it's New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve.
I mean, I'll be in Burlington. So
Oh, right. You might Zoom it.
I might log on. Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't. Well, he said. I think it's live.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on Zoom. Is it on Zoom?
Twitch. I think it's on Twitch. That's
Are
what it
you-
was.
Well, I know, but last year we weren't.
I'm saying if I'm not working at the exact time because I'll be on the East Coast time, I could log in on Twitch and watch for a little bit or something.
Well, did he ask you to do it with?
No, just to watch as a viewer.
Oh,
Yeah.
I want you to do a vision board.
Well, like I got a
Were you inspired by it?
I got a cork board, but I guess I have to put stuff on it too. So
Yeah. It's I'm thinking about re-envisioning it and trying to make it happen. So what happens on New Year's Eve usually is we go over to our friend's house and play board games.
Oh, fun.
I mean, not the last 2 years,
Yeah.
but wait, actually, not the last year.
Right.
But I think this year we're going to do it. And then New Year's Day, Andy has some sort of Mississippi thing that we've always done, which is cornbread and black-eyed peas and some sort of Southern thing.
Yeah.
And that's always delicious. But I don't know. New Year's Eve, I've been invited to a party, which
Ugh.
I'm not good.
No.
I told the guy
No.
it's a comic party too.
No.
I was like, I could probably come for an hour. And he's like, once you get here, you'll have fun. And I was like, no, I like you. I don't want to hang out with maybe 30 people. I might like them all individually. Not a chance where we're standing.
That's a COVID petri dish you're talking about right there.
Well, there's that. There is that.
We keep
true.
I forget. Like there's actually a really good reason not to go to a party, and it's not that you don't want to be at a party.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I also don't want to be at a party. I'm also not great at parties. When I drank, I was great at parties. I'd wake up under a pile of fucking coats.
Wow.
It doesn't.
I can never meet that, Jackie. That would be nice.
That would be such a nightmare.
I know.
Anyway, but how's things going over there, Kyle?
We got about 7 minutes left.
Oh.
All right. I wish I could tell you this exciting thing, even though I'm loath to do it because they aren't on the website yet, but I have them and they are hard copies.
Oh, hey.
Hard copies of the DVD came
Cool.
yesterday, and then that's the album.
Oh, I like the album has blue masks and the DVD has purple masks.
Yep.
That cool.
Yeah, 800 Pound Gorilla was like, can we do something besides just put the word DVD on it? And I said, sure. And so we used
So
that.
how much did it cost you?
Too much, I think because they're supposed to be. I remember when I would buy them in lots of 1,000 and they were about $1.50, $2.50 a piece max.
Yeah. Right.
And
right.
I think these were a little bit more because I only got a couple hundred. Because I don't think that
That's still a lot.
anybody, I don't know who's gonna.
I don't know either. I mean,
I think they're $5 each, which
WGA Twitter is just people complaining that they're getting DVDs of screeners because no one has a DVD player anymore. Yeah.
I wish I was getting screeners. I had a good SAG year last year, got a bunch of screeners. Did not have a great SAG year this year, so no screeners. So.
Why, by the way, why do comedians not get Writers Guild credit when they write their specials? Do you know that you don't? You get SAG money, but you don't get any Writers Guild money. I would, if I had a special that was written by I had a written by credit, it was on a streamer, I would really lobby to have Writers Guild credit instead of SAG for, whatever, how it ever accounts to my union or.
That's interesting. That's a great idea.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds like a Spoken Giants thing as well. Writing credit for stand-up.
Well, no,
you don't get any.
It's the WGA. First, I should find out. I should ask them why they don't, because the specials say written by and then the comedian. Everything else that has written by on it that's on TV, the writers get health insurance that year. They get contributions to their pension if they're vested, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh.
So, yeah.
So it's already happening. That's okay.
There's all these carve outs for stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy doesn't count. It's not like music, so you don't get paid like a musician. Oh, it's not like writing, so you don't get paid like a writer. It's like all these different ways to screw stand-up comedians,
That is fascinating. And now I am secondly full of rage. You can't tell because I'm super sleepy, but I have rage.
Mm-hmm. Understandable.
I have this to say, just in general, I tend to look to see where I'm wrong too many times. I'm going to leave you with a philosophical where if things get in a situation, there's always, I think, a better way that not always, like I don't lose my temper that often. Probably, a handful of times in the last 20 odd years, right? 30 years. And when I've lost my temper, it's not always been great. But I don't think that I was, I think that there might've been a better way to deal with it, like pushing the old man thing. And,
oh yeah.
And other situations where there's a better way to deal with that.
Right.
The time I used mace.
Yes.
And, but these are not, but I think I was acting out of fear. And I don't think I was wrong to react. I think that there was just a better way to react.
Are you talking about the thing you texted me about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm just like, no, I can't. I don't think so. And
thrilling for the listener.
It's super cryptic. If I say that I put it in the chat, is that make it more interesting? Anyway, somebody is claiming something that the whole interaction was about a second and a half, less than 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And they're claiming emotional damage and all these things. And I was like, I got some real emotional damage. And there was, and whatever, anything, if I yell something, I'm not psyched. Like I've never gone to yelling racial slurs, but I have yelled super mean things, right? I've yelled, when did you stop fucking your kids? This type of thing, right? It's just like, that's not okay.
Yeah, I let it slide off my shoulder. I didn't even.
It's like, hey, nobody should trust you around kids. I mean, it's usually some horrible like sex thing that I just imply that they're a monster. Yeah. And so there's better ways to deal with these things, but if I'm being threatened, if I'm being menaced, and literally I was being threatened, me trying to get out of that situation is going to be how I'm going to get out of that situation.
Are you talking about it? You're talking about an offstage interaction versus an onstage interaction, maybe?
Sure. And I'll tell you, on stage, I am not Don Rickles. I mean, if you come to a show hoping to have your balls busted, do not come to my show. Because that is not my gig. I have written jokes. I'm going to tell them for 56 minutes. And then I'm going to try to sell you some merch. And that's going to be the whole thing. But if you come either hoping to ruin the show for your entertainment or hoping to get your balls busted for your entertainment, those are two different, that's And I do my time because I have to do my time to get paid. Because I look back on shows like that where I just powered through.
Yeah.
And we have that thing, and I know we're probably over now, but I mean, I have that thing where I want to be the comic that can play any room, right? You have that.
Yeah.
Y'all
Me
have
too.
that, right?
Yeah.
But I have recently decided I don't want to be that comic anymore. If I am not, if the room is not there to have me do stand-up comedy, and my stand-up comedy, the stand-up comedy where I don't want to also have to be the bouncer and the security, and your therapist. I don't want to be all of that. What I want to do is I want to do stand-up comedy, and I would get a fucking day job versus do another thing like that.
Right.
Because I don't want to ever be responsible for a chunk of the audience not getting that I'm being harassed. And so I can't do my job. And so then they walk and they're mad at me. How about I walk and they're mad at me before it begins? And then the club removes the problemed individuals. And then maybe I dig myself out of that hole.
Sure. I believe that longtime and careful listeners can figure out what situation you are alluding to right now.
Yes, please go back through the previous 400 episodes, you guys, with a comb. Anyway, so but that's where I'm at. And my voice has gotten scratchy. So I think I'm going to take a bath and go to sleep for a second.
Yes. What a night.